What you are looking at is not a Photoshop. It's not a prop from a horror movie. This is a real animal. A frog, born with 6, 7, or even 8 legs. When these creatures first started turning up in ponds across North America, the public imagination ran wild. This had to be a mutation. This was a sign. This was nuclear waste, secret government chemicals, or toxic sludge from a factory, creating monsters. The truth, as it turns out, is not that simple, and it is so much more disturbing. This isn't a 1 in a billion genetic mistake. This isn't evolution trying a new design. This is evidence of a crime scene. What you're seeing is the gruesome, physical calling card of a biological puppet master. An ancient, invisible enemy that doesn't just kill its host, it sculpts it, twisting its body for a single, horrifying purpose. Today on Weird Animal Evolution, we are decoding the disturbing truth of the 8-legged frog, and we're going to expose the bizarre, multi-stage life cycle of the creature responsible, a creature that turns a living amphibian into a crippled, easy-to-catch meal, all to complete one of the weirdest reproductive strategies on Earth. Our story begins in the mid-1990s, when a group of students on a field trip in Minnesota discovered a pond. But it wasn't just any pond. It was a hot zone. A huge percentage of the leopard frogs in the water were wrong. They had supernumerary limbs, a condition called polymelia. The discovery sparked a panic. Scientists immediately scrambled for an answer. The list of suspects was obvious. Suspect number 1, chemical contamination. This was the most likely culprit. Pesticides, like methoprene, a chemical used to control mosquitoes, were known to mess with amphibian development. They are teratogens, agents that cause birth defects. Suspect number 2, increased UVB radiation from the thinning ozone layer. Amphibian eggs are delicate, and it was plausible that this radiation was frying their genetic code as they developed, causing these horrific mutations. Scientists ran the tests. They exposed tadpoles to these chemicals. They blasted them with UV light. And they did get deformities. But it wasn't quite the same. The results were inconsistent, and they couldn't reliably recreate the specific, bizarre, multi-legged horrors they were seeing in the wild. The answer was hiding in the water itself. It wasn't a chemical. It was a living thing. When researchers began dissecting the deformed frogs, they found something. Tiny, parasitic cysts. But it wasn't just that they were there. It was where they were. They were clustered, in huge numbers, right at the base of the tadpoles' developing hind legs. They had found their culprit, a tiny digenetic trematode, a parasitic flatworm with an absurdly complicated name, Ribeiroia. This tiny worm was the key. But that discovery only opened a door to a much weirder question. How could a simple parasite, barely a millimeter long, force a frog to grow 8 legs? The answer is not a mutation. It is a terrifyingly precise, physical interruption. And it's all part of the parasite's evolutionary master plan. To understand Ribeiroia, you have to understand that it has one of the most complex and bizarre life cycles in the animal kingdom. It cannot survive with just one host. It needs 3 specific hosts, in a perfect, unbroken chain. And the 8-legged frog. It's just a pawn in the parasite's game. The entire cycle begins in a freshwater snail, often a ram's horn snail. This is the parasite's primary host, its nursery. Once an egg hatches and infects a snail, the parasite takes over. It reproduces asexually, essentially cloning itself over and over, turning the snail's body into a living factory. After a time, this factory releases the next stage, thousands and thousands of free-swimming larvae called cercariae. These cercariae are the assault team. They have one mission: find host number 2. And they are very, very good at it. The cercariae swarm through the water, seeking their next target, an amphibian tadpole. When they find one, they burrow straight through its skin, a microscopic invasion. But they aren't just looking for any spot. They have an evolutionary blueprint. They navigate to a very specific, very critical part of the tadpole's body, the posterior. the exact spot where the tiny cellular clusters known as limb buds are just beginning to form. And here, the parasite performs its horrifying sculpture. It doesn't edit the frog's DNA. It doesn't release a mutation-causing chemical. It does something far more crude and far more brilliant. It physically gets in the way. The parasite forms a cyst, a hard, protective shell, right in the middle of this rapidly dividing mass of cells. This cyst acts like a wedge. It mechanically splits the developing limb bud into 2 or 3 or 4 separate sections. Imagine a sculptor trying to make a hand out of clay. Now, imagine someone shoves a marble right into the middle of the clay hand as it's being formed. The sculptor, blind, keeps working, and the clay is forced to fork around the marble, resulting in 2 malformed palms and 8 fingers. This is what Ribeiroia does. Each split cell cluster, still following its genetic instructions to build a leg, starts building a leg. The result is a chaotic, tangled mess of extra, useless limbs. Sometimes they are complete, perfect legs. More often, they are twisted, boneless appendages, fused together in a grotesque display. The frog is now permanently crippled. It can't jump properly. It can't swim efficiently. It is slow, awkward, and completely defenseless. And this is exactly what the parasite wants. This brings us to the entire, chilling point of this entire process. Why not just kill the frog? Because a dead frog sinks to the bottom of the pond. To complete its life cycle, the parasite needs to get to its third and final host. The parasite needs to get into the gut of a specific predator, a wading bird. A healthy adult frog is an incredibly difficult target for a heron. It's fast, agile, and spends most of its time camouflaged or hidden. But a frog with 8 legs, a frog that can barely swim, it's a sitting duck. It's a slow, struggling, eat me sign flashing in the shallow water. The parasite has, in effect, turned the frog into a delivery vehicle for itself. It has hacked the frog's development to make it an easy meal for the exact predator the parasite needs to find. The heron strikes, swallowing the defenseless frog whole. Inside the bird's gut, the parasite's long journey is finally over. The cysts dissolve, and the adult flatworms emerge. Here, in the bird's digestive tract, they do what they've been trying to do this whole time. They have sex. They mature, they mate, and they produce millions and millions of eggs. And those eggs are passed out in the bird's droppings, falling from the sky, back into the water, where they will hatch, infect a snail, and the entire nightmarish cycle begins again. This is one of the most complex, seemingly inefficient, and yet terrifyingly successful life cycles in the natural world. It is a masterpiece of coevolution. But it also raises a crucial question. If this parasite is so effective, why isn't every pond full of 8-legged frogs? The answer is that we, as humans, have been accidentally stacking the deck in the parasite's favor. This entire process relies on a delicate balance, but our modern world has thrown that balance into chaos. When fertilizer and agricultural runoff, rich in nitrates and phosphates, pour into ponds, they cause massive algae blooms. This is bad for fish, but it is a feast for the ram's horn snails. More algae means a population explosion for host number 1, the snail. More snails mean more factories for the Ribeiroia parasite. This creates a parasite hot zone, with billions of cercariae swarming the water, overwhelming the local tadpoles. And at the same time, we've been preserving wetlands. This is a good thing. But it means we are also creating perfect, protected habitats for hosts number 3, the wading birds. We have, without realizing it, created the perfect storm. We've super boosted the parasite's nursery, the snails, and guaranteed the survival of its ultimate destination, the birds. The 8-legged frogs in the middle. They are simply the collateral damage of an ecosystem we have pushed to a breaking point. So, when you see this image, you are not looking at a mutation. You're not looking at a new species or a failed evolutionary experiment. You are looking at the victim of a biological war. A war fought by an enemy that is so specialized, it has evolved the ability to physically sculpt its host, turning it into a living, breathing, crippled sacrifice, all to get a ride to its next destination. It's a chilling reminder that evolution isn't always about becoming stronger, or faster, or smarter. Sometimes, evolution's weirdest strategies are found in its most devious puppet masters. The Ribeiroia flatworm doesn't need to be strong. It just needs to be a brilliant, patient, and absolutely ruthless engineer. It's one of the most disturbing, yet perfect, examples of a multi-host life cycle on the planet. The eight-legged frog is a tragedy written by a flatworm. But what about you? What creature do you think has an even weirder, more manipulative survival strategy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're passionate about unbelievable evolutionary stories just like this one, don't forget to like, subscribe to Weird Animal Evolution, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any bizarre creatures in our next video. Thanks, and see you next time.